Since getting the GH7, I've been using it as much as my S5 X, both in the studio and out in the field. The active cooling, the form factor, the flippy screen, all that kind of stuff. It's just been a great camera to use for video. And a little while back, when I sort of upgraded to the full-frame Lumix system and the Sony full-frame system, which I've since moved on, I've ended up shooting Micro Four Thirds a whole lot more. And I'm actually really enjoying it. And there's been one lens that I've always thought about purchasing that I've never actually purchased. So I got on eBay. I was scouring for this particular lens and I found one. So in today's video, we're going to see how this lens compares up against the 35mm f1.8 for the full frame system, shooting with a Micro Four Thirds camera. Let's get into it. Welcome back, folks. My name's Shane. So yes, I have been shooting Micro Four Thirds a whole lot more. Unfortunately, I did sell quite a number of lenses over the last few years, and this will just be a first impressions of this lens and how it compares up against the full frame system, as I mentioned before. But we're taking a look at the Sigma 16mm f1.4 DCDN. Now, I've owned the Panasonic Lumix Leica 15mm f1.7. It's a great lens, but I wanted an f1.4. And I was also looking for something that might offer a little bit better autofocus performance. Now, if you're just shooting photos, the Panasonic Leica lens is fine, but I did notice it was a little bit inconsistent with even the phase detection cameras for video. It just sort of jumped back and forth a bit. So I'll be using this primarily for video as a one and done prime for seated studio shots like this where I'm shooting Micro Four Thirds, or if I'm out in the field. There's a couple of YouTube channels I want to give a shout out for convincing me that this was a good choice. So Mark Bennett Camera Crisis, thank you so much for your video with the GH5, and also to Caleb Hoover, who's got an awesome YouTube channel. Go check him out if you're into Lumix gear. And he put a video together with this, and I think the GH5 or GH6, and it was a great video. So I thought I'd try this with the phase detection autofocus of the new GH7 and G9 Mark II. So that's what this video will cover. We'll take a look at the autofocus just here in the studio and how it compares up against a full frame camera right now. So this is my Natural Plus picture profile, one that I've customized, and I'm not doing anything in post-production to this. This is a profile I set up sort of with a deep contrast look that I can just plonk into my editor and I'm done. So that's the whole idea. Let's switch it over to the GH7. Now you're looking at the Lumix GH7 and the Sigma 16mm f1.4 prime at 1.4. Now I had the ISO set to 200 on the S5 X, but being that this lens is faster than f1.8, I've had to put the ISO down to 160. Same picture profile, so this is my real-time Light Natural Plus picture profile. I'll give you a side-by-side comparison so you can take a look at the difference and whether or not you can see a huge difference between Micro Four Thirds rocking a fast prime lens up against full frame rocking a fast prime lens. Now there are faster prime lenses for full frame than f1.8, but this is as fast as I've got. I love these S series of primes. So I'm tipping this will pretty much look the same as the S5 X, minus the difference in the background blur and subject separation. So let us know what you think. Now let's do a quick autofocus test using the Sigma 16mm f1.4 on the GH7. This will be the same if you're using a G9 Mark II. So I'm just going to hold this up over my face, bring it down, bring it back up, and bring it back down, and hopefully that worked really well. I'm also going to challenge it a little bit more by using a lens cap. So let's give this a shot. Looks like it's found it. Back to my face, back to the lens cap, back to my face, and back to the lens cap. So we'll see if that works as well, but odds are this should be fine. I did a quick test off camera and it looked like the autofocus was pretty solid. Now, the reason why I thought it would be pretty solid is because the performance of this lens on something like the Sony FX30 is really good. And that comes down to the autofocus system of the camera on the most part. And being that the GH7 now has this new phase detection autofocus system, I thought we'd get some great results. And I'm loving what I'm seeing on the monitor here, minus seeing my big old head in the frame. I think the image quality looks really good. This is just a first impressions quick test here of the Sigma on the GH7, but I want to talk about my initial thoughts on this lens. So in terms of image quality at f1.4, so far looking at the screen over here, it looks great. I can't really fault it in terms of image quality. Secondly, it's large. There's no autofocus manual focus switch on there, but we do get that clutch on the back for the focus modes, which I really like on the Lumix cameras, and the GH7 and G9 Mark II all have that as well. So to switch to manual focus, it's not the end of the world, but the focus ring is quite large and it is focused by wire. So again, you know, you're going to have to just work within the limitations of that. But I thought I'd be able to trust this in terms of autofocus performance just sitting here in the studio, and it looks like it's going to do a really great job, or even if I'm doing a talk to camera piece outside. The reason I wanted this lens is I'm going to be doing some traveling, and I wanted to capture a pretty premium look and also have access to better low light performance, and I thought this would be the way to go. Now, I'm also going to be doing a full review of this. I'll be comparing it up against other lenses and all that kind of stuff, so stay tuned for that. I'm not going to give away what my project is with this particular camera body and lens setup, but you'll see it coming up on the channel very soon, so stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell. My name's Shane. I will catch you on the next one. See ya.